Led by a lifelong interest in healing, Dr. Linda Salvin pursued an advanced degree in epidemiology. Then, after dramatic near-death experiences, Dr. Linda saw the other side and returned with gifts of insight, visions, and revealed wisdom. Now those gifts are ongoing, and she's here to share them with you. Get ready to be amazed. It's time for Dr. Linda Salvin's Psychic Solutions podcast with America's original radio psychic, Dr. Linda Salvin, offering up her always fascinating blend of psychic psychology, clairvoyant insights, and expert guests and alternative healing methods. So pull up a chair and get ready for a visit with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Psychic Solutions podcast. I am Dr. Linda Salvin. I am a metaphysician with a PhD in metaphysics, MPH in epidemiology, and I combine science with the woo-woo, and I've been doing so for over 30 years. I am a talk show host. I am a writer. I am a psychic. I am a healer. I do all sorts of stuff. I'm like a Renaissance girl in the late or the mid 2020s. So I'm here to entertain you, educate you, enlighten you. And I'm bringing back somebody I've had on my show. I think this is going to be my third or fourth visit with Mr. Tom Palladino coming in from Florida. Let's bring him on without me really having to introduce what he's about. Hey, Tom, it's good to see you again.
Hi, Doctor. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I want the audience to know so much about you because you've developed a technique using our natural resources of sun and God, but you're a healer and you heal people. And I'll qualify right now that anybody listening to this show will get 15 days of free sessions from Tom. And all you do is email him by going to his website, scalarlight.com. That's SCALARLIGHT.com. Tell him you saw him on the Dr. Linda show. He will offer you 15 days of energy. You won't feel it. You'll just know something's changing. And all you need to do is send us your photo. So, Tom, explain to people what Scalar Light really is. And I will reiterate to people getting free sessions later, but explain it always. There's always somebody new listening. You know that.
Oh, okay, sure. Thank you so much. Well, we're working with an energy known as scalar light. Some people call that 0-point energy. This is not electricity. So this is a new branch of physics, scalar physics. Now, why is that pertinent? Because we don't abide by the laws of electricity. There are different laws that we observe, which are the laws of, if you will, scalar light, scalar energy, the energy of the stars, the energy of the sun and the stars. So with that understanding, we're working with a new physics. And with that, there's new possibilities. This is an emerging technology that I esteem highly, and I believe this is going to change the world. This is a technology, scalar technology will change the world. And I'll explain.
How does it change? Okay.
Yeah, I'll explain how we're going to change the world, at least in part by way of instrumentation. Go ahead, Doctor.
No, I was just saying, how's it going to change the world? You already know the answers. You already know what to do. It's not like I need to guide you in an interview. You've done thousands. Go on.
Okay. So what am I getting at? Again, this is the energy of the stars. So if you look at the stars, you do not have to produce the energy. The energy is self-emanating. The stars are perpetual. So instead of relying upon coal or oil, fossil fuel, or trying to harness the atom or trying to harness wind, we're going to harness a star. And the energy from the stars are free energy, clean energy, and it's omnipresent. So this is the answer to the energy crisis, scalar energy. I work with scalar energy instruments. This is one of them behind me that behaves like a star. I've demonstrated this before on your podcast. If I hold up a light bulb in my hand and place it close to the instrument, the light bulb will animate. The light bulb will illuminate. So this is an indication that this energy is so powerful, it can hold. I can hold a light bulb and it will illuminate in my hand. The point I'm trying to make is that this energy is vibrant. It's very real. This energy can, again, illuminate a light bulb in my hand.
So what would it do to us as humans if it's that powerful is what you're trying to show, right? If it's that simple and that powerful, it's going to hit the human body and does what? It helps with disease, depression,
Correct.
anxiety.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're working at the level of light. This is not a chemical. And when I work with this level of light, it's informational. So all of my work is light, it's informational, it's non-physical. We're not working at the lower level of chemical. It's not a biochemical reaction. So working with light, it's an enhanced way of improving health, soul, mind, and body. But to be very clear, we're not working at the biochemical level. We're working at the level of information. So let me make this distinction. Some of you who are architects or you're in building, you can appreciate the fact that you have architectural plans. Before you build anything, you put something on paper, a template, architectural plans, and then you build from the template. Well, that's what I'm working with. I'm working with architectural plans or the template of nature. I'm not working with the final product, the biological effect. So working at the level of cause, at the level of light, which is fundamental, I can produce incredible changes, improvements, if you will, corrections by way of light that are not possible by way of surgery or chemicals or any type of other type of massage or any type of what we call medical intervention. Because I don't work with the physical body. I work with the aura. I work with the non-physical. That's the distinction with my work.
You know, a lot of people don't understand that we as people and life, trees, everything is energy. You know, we are in a physical body. Our soul is not physical. It's energy that comes in when we take that first breath and goes out when we take our last breath. And in between, we have what's called life. You have discovered something that penetrates the mind, body, spirit, but the body's tissues and muscles and organs and cells, you know, and somehow that light that we absorb is healing from within. I am a healer. I have done things for people, thankfully, with the testimonials I have that a lot of doctors couldn't reach or complete or do. And you take it to another level as well. And when you were talking about the energy fields, if you could only, like I said years ago on one show, I wish you could get to every dean of every university and teach this for their medical schools and health programs. But also with what's going on worldwide with the electric cars, absorbing so much time and energy and now electricity, even the state of California, I found out yesterday, wants to tax drivers 30 cents a mile now because they're losing money at the gas stations because of the electrical grids. So they want to tax the drivers to drive their car. And I'm thinking, why don't they just see what Scalar Energy could do with the automotive situation on the roads? Yes, it put a lot of people out with the gas and the taxes and the money, but we would save the planet and we wouldn't have as much exhaust and carbon emissions and all of that out there, which is toxic to the body. Everything's always to heal, heal, heal. But we can't, as individuals, convince the powers that be that we know something they don't. It doesn't fly. That's the hard part you and I face as healers or light workers or, you know, evolved beings on the planet, whatever term you want to use. That's a little off center from the corporate world or the structure of the political world. You can't break through, and every now and then someone hears it and goes, well, what is this? So when you have those skeptics come to you, such as somebody from that other realm of life, how do you deal with the skeptic? Okay, somebody's listening to this, they're watching this on YouTube, and they go, well, what is she talking about? How do we know this works?
We only know this works, but we know it works by the effect, by how people feel, by their testimonies. As a new science, we've not developed a rigorous, what I would call scientific testing principle. If the science is new, I'll be the first one to admit that. So we have to look at the endpoints. We have to look at the before and the after. How do people feel before the sessions? How do they feel thereafter? And I think we have so many testimonies, thousands now, that there's some type of anecdotal proof that this energy does heal. To what extent? How does it heal? Well, you can't explain it by Western science.
No, you can't, any more than I try to explain why was I able to heal somebody metaphysically by digging into their colon or their breast or their brain or someplace, and I got rid of some negative stuff, and all of a sudden they're happy or they feel better, they're not depressed. You have cancer patients. You have helped people with cancer.
Yes.
Now, I just got off the phone with one of my clients in Florida, which is where you are, and he was diagnosed with bone cancer and prostate cancer. And I said, you don't have cancer. He found out from the doctors, they misdiagnosed him. So one, I said the fear, the anxiety, the upset, planning your death, all these things happen when they misdiagnose you. On the other side of the coin, thank God he's healthy, but you have dealt with sick, diagnosed patients with cancer. What are some of the testimonies of the work turning this around? It's phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you so much. So before I get into that, let me make this clear. When I'm working with people, I never work in person. These instruments, one of my instruments is behind me again. This instrument works through a person's photograph. So keep in mind, we're not working in the flesh. We're not working at the biological level. We're working with a force field, an energy field on a photograph. And that's why my work is so successful. I don't have to depend upon a biochemical reaction. So when I download energy into a person's force field, that force field looks for the signature of cancer or a tumor and negates the signature of cancer. So working at the energetic level on the photograph receives all the action. We can identify what I would consider a signature or some type of mark, if you will, and negate that signature of cancer. Now, that is a new branch of physics. That new branch of physics begs the definition and begs consideration. What indeed is happening? You only can explain this at the metaphysical level. All of my work is non-physical. So we cannot use Newtonian physics. We cannot use Western science to explain this phenomenon.
What are some, no, you cannot, any more than me being a metaphysician that has been into this for over 30 years. As you know, after surviving a plane crash, I was taken into this other dimension. I did not have metaphysical healing properties prior to, or psychic properties or gifts prior to all this. It took over me. They chose me, whatever. When we talk metaphysics, people think we're woo-woo, we're weird, we're out there, but it's really the truth. And yes, metaphysics goes within, and we use energy as opposed to physics. The physical doctor that is curative will give a pill or do surgery to fix something, and God bless them because they save a lot of lives. But there are other areas that may not need the extreme medication or the extreme surgeries, and our body can heal. And that's where people often come to me. I'm like, well, my own doctor couldn't do that, or you found what my doctor didn't do. And that's how we integrate mind, body, spirit. You have light. I work with light. I don't see the light. I feel the light. I know it comes through me in my hands. And I gave you a photo of me probably 2 months ago, and my father, I believe, and one of my boyfriends to work on. And I'm going to submit one more photo later, because if you would, I would appreciate you working on a friend of mine, and he needs it. And there's somebody who's alcoholic. Now, can you work with alcoholic behavior as well as the cancers? Talk about more. And I want to go back to your cancer patients, because there's more than one. Okay. So we have plenty of time to testify, but there's other issues.
Okay. So once again, I'm going to go back to my template, the photograph. My photograph carries my spiritual, my mental, my physical persona. My energy field is on that photograph. Soul, mind, and body. Soul, mind, and body. Now, let's say somebody has a drinking problem. Maybe it's a psychological problem. Maybe they have this yearning for dopamine. Maybe that gives them a rush, if you will. My contention is this: working through this informational field, I can identify the need, the desire for alcohol, and negate the desire. So we're not working, once again, at the chemical level. We're working at the informational level. There's bad information. There's harmful information, which is the desire for alcohol or drugs. What do? We identify that harmful information and we negate it. But we do it through the aura or through the photograph. I don't work with the body. I don't want to work with the body. That body is at the chemical level where things are uncertain. I want to be certain with my work which is the level of information or light. So again, we're not working according to Newtonian physics. This is not Western medicine. This is a new branch of physics in which we work with the aura, the energy field of a person.
When people come to you with breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, kidney disease, God knows what you hear, just like I can't sit and verbatim tell you all the types of problems I've helped people with in 30 years. It's impossible. But alcoholism, lung cancer, prostate cancer.
Yep.
Talk about some of the people you helped who came sick, addicted, or imbalanced, whatever word you want to use, that is dis-ease, that over time you helped integrate and heal, or at least get them on the other side of life.
Okay, thank you. So when people approach me, they tell me, Tom, I don't feel well. To be clear, I'm not a medical professional. I don't claim to be a medical professional. What do? I instruct this instrument. Let's say somebody has the Epstein-Barr virus. I instruct this instrument to look for Epstein-Barr in their quantum field. By taking these two photographs, it's all information, and placing these two photographs in the quantum field, Epstein-Barr will communicate with my information field.
Okay, stop. I have a question. I have a question for the novice or somebody who's going to submit to you later, or if I submit for a friend. So I will email you at scalarlight.com. I'll say I'll use Tom. My friend Tom has a drinking problem, and he's probably, I don't know, maybe he's got liver or kidney issues, whatever. So if I give you his picture and say one or two items that need addressing, is that how it works? So we just send the picture and then the light scans it. We need to tell what our disease or inflections might be.
Do not tell me your disease. I don't want to know it. This is not medicine.
Just the picture.
Exactly. And why? Because we're not relying upon human reasoning. We're relying upon energy, which is all knowing. Scalar light is divine energy. So when we're working with this incredible energy, this omnipresent energy, it knows the disease condition automatically. This is not human reasoning.
It's so magical. It's so magical.
You need human reasoning to detect, to diagnose disease. I never detect anything. Never, ever. I don't want to. I let the instrument detect the disease pattern. And this is why my work is so efficient and effective. We're not at the biological level. We don't rely upon human reasoning. This energy instrument can detect a disease signature and negate the energy. All disease begins as information, as energy. And if you have the wrong energy, you have a virus, you have depression, you have cancer. I work with those energy fields on a photograph. It's that simple.
How long ago did you start all this, Tom?
Back in the 90s. So I have a good 30 years of experience now with this. Now, to be very clear to your audience, this can only be achieved with the scalar energy instrument. If I place a person's photograph inside my instrument, that photograph now is in the scalar energy force field. You cannot achieve this with a computer or a car or a refrigerator. Those are electrical instruments. You need a specific type of instrument to access a scalar dimension. You have to have a scalar energy instrument to access a scalar energy signal. That's what's peculiar. That's specific to my work.
Did you develop the instrument, or did you learn from somebody? I know Tesla probably had something like this back in his day, and you may have taken it and incorporated it into your needs, which a lot of us always learn from someone else, unless you were the brainchild. But I think there's so many different avenues as to how this came together for you.
You're right. It was Tesla in theory. And then I was so fortunate to meet American inventors by the name of Hieronymus. They're deceased, but these inventors, it's a husband and wife, worked with me back in the 90s. So I am not the original inventor of this instrument. By the way, this instrument behind me originally was awarded 3 patents by the US, Canadian, and British government. So those 3 governments at that time acknowledged that there was some type of emanation, some type of self-emanation which I call scalar light today. It's quite profound. That's the history of scalar light. It's rooted in science. These are engineered instruments. This is not my opinion. Let me be very clear. These are engineered instruments that follow the laws of science.
I love this. I'm just going to put the phone number out. There may be somebody who's afraid to call in or they're listening, but they don't want to participate. But I am inviting you to join the show today. It's Psychic Solutions, and I've got my guest, Tom Palladino, who's not new to my show, this network or others. He's been on with me. 561-623-9421 is that number if you wish to call in. It's usually not an interactive show on this network, but they do listen later and they will probably contact you, and I'll put it out there. I'm going to be doing a newsletter soon too, and I'll add you to the newsletter. And I'd like to have you back maybe into June, July one more time before I move on to the next network. 561-623-9421 is your number to talk to Tom or me about scalar light. Now, Tom was on the show a few months ago. I sent my boyfriend's photo, and I think my father, who's turning 95, his photo. I haven't asked them how they feel because they don't know that I did that. But for me, I can say I'm calmer. I'm less anxious a lot of the time. Do I see weight loss? No. Do I see less depression? I think I'm more clear and less at effect of things that normally would knock me off kilter. So there's a centering that's taking place, or a more integrated balance. It's not an overnight thing like, okay, it's Tuesday, by Friday, I'm okay. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. So I want people to know that over time, the energy from the light that's going into the photo is healing my body for whatever it needs on a genetic or a physical level that we can't always see, but the light is healing from the stars, from the sun. It sounds like I said last time, John Lennon and his song, but there's power here, and there's a clarity that takes place, and over time, yeah. Go ahead. You can take it from there.
Let me put this into computer terms. When you program a computer, if that information is correct, the final product, the physical product, or the manifestation of the programming is accurate. I don't care if it's an email blast or some type of computational work or some type of architectural work on a computer. So the intelligence, the template is important, which is the information. The final product, the physical product, or the manifestation of the computer work, that's the result. So in the medical community today, we respect them, but I want to make this very clear. They work at the level of effect. They don't work at the causal level, which is the chemical level, which is the result, which is, if you will, the consequence. I never work at the chemical level. I work at the informational level, at the level of cause. I would much rather work with non-physical information than have to rely upon a physical biochemical reaction. That's the key to my work, and that's the key to Linda's work. There are two realms. The physical realm, of course it exists, but there's a metaphysical realm. There's a non-physical realm. There's a realm of consciousness or intelligence.
That's
Linda
the
and I,
spiritual.
we work at we work at the level of intelligence, at the level of spirit. Now, once the scientific community realizes that there is a level of intelligence, consciousness, spirit, and not just the level of chemical reactions, then we'll make great progress.
Do you think we'll see it in our lifetime?
Yes, it's coming because there's a grassroots movement. People realize, you call it quantum energy, quantum healing, call it spirit. People realize there's something more to life than a biochemical reaction. There's something that, if you will, is guiding all action, which is consciousness or intelligence.
Let me ask you something way off base here. I don't know how to word it properly. Do you think you're from this plane? Do you think you're actually earthbound, or do you think you were sent here, returned here, reincarnated here, or whatever you want to say to be part of this movement? Because the light workers, we're a little bit on a different frequency than the average person going to the football game, or the average person in a bar, or the average person in a restaurant. We vibrate a little differently. And sometimes if you're like me, it's like, I got to get out of here. I can't stand how I feel, or these aren't my people. And then all of a sudden I find my niche. It's like, oh my God, I'm okay. It's just, I don't get along with them, but I get along with these people. It's hard to find your little path there when you are different but you're ahead of your time,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you so much. So the distinction is this: you cannot just live at the physical level, because you have to realize that there's intelligence that's created this world. The periodic table is fine. The physical manifestation is fine. But there's something much more sublime that created all of it. There has to be some type of intelligence that creates everything, including the physical world. Nikola Tesla said that once science embraces non-physical science, will make great advances. In other
Wow.
words, the effect, the chemical level, the periodic table is fine, but that's the end result. Why not be in command of nature with intelligence, with consciousness? I compare it, this is my analogy, Linda, with if you're looking just at chemical science, you're pushing the car. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes you have to push the car. At the level of information, you're driving the car. So if you and I sit behind the wheel of a car, our information will allow us to guide the car. That's the easy way to do things. That's the easy way to guide nature, rather than the chemical level where you're pushing the car.
Right.
To me, it's so apparent.
Well,
So
because you're on that higher frequency anyway, so you see it for what it really is. Like I see it for what it is. The average people that come to you and me don't see it. So they come to people like you and me to be their mentor, their teacher, their light, what their next step. But you and I have that ability or understanding. I don't even know what I understand sometimes. It just happens. It just comes through me. I just do the work. You just do the work. To us, in our brains, as we're doing things, we know what we're doing, but we always have to kind of justify, explain, or whatever, or the work, the proof is in the pudding. Once they experience it, they can no longer be skeptical.
Yes. Now, going back to earlier thoughts, if this energy is the first principle, and if I'm actually working with the energy of the stars, then that commands nature. I do mean that. The energy of the stars sends out information, light, that instructs nature, instructs everything. So why not, again, be in the command center? It's the cause that we want to work with. Scalar energy is the cause of nature. This is what is so important about Tesla's statement: working with non-physical science will advance dramatically. I am working with non-physical science, what Tesla called the wheel work of nature. That's the key to our work. And whether you do it with an engineered instrument, or you have healing hands, or you have some type of psychic ability, we're no longer working with brick and mortar. Take a look today. Here's an analogy, people. Many people used to go to an office. They had to sit in an office that was brick and mortar. That's obsolete. Many people work by way of computer, or they had, if you will, teleconferencing. Right. So the brick and mortar commercial real estate is obsolete. Why? The computer, the information system, has replaced the brick and mortar office. I am saying the brick and mortar of science is really, it's still pertinent, but it's in many ways it's obsolete. Why not control science with information? That's what I'm doing with this instrument.
I think that's a brilliant analogy, because at lockdown, Zoom was already created, as was some of the digital formats like StreamYard or FaceTime or YouTube. But as we went through that shift of the lockdown and we couldn't go to work, they out there were reprogramming us, and now we are more online people than, as you say, going to work, getting in traffic, going to school, or going to the brick and mortar in your office. And a lot of people were they were forced to go back to work, and they didn't want to. They wanted to stay at home, do the remote work, because we got comfortable in our homes now without having to get dressed up and put on your makeup for the girls, or to the guys with a shirt and tie, or however they were, and then to be with all those people and the personality clashes and getting the job done. We can effectively work online. My job for over 30 years was either on radio or on the phone, and sometimes I do the work visually, like with a platform. But I have my gift that I've maintained where I just do it by phone. I hear the voice, I have the answer. That's my gift. If I do healing, it's by phone. You do light. I have light within me, which does similar to what Tom does, people, but you're going to get a whole different effect over time with Tom. Again, if you're interested in any of his work, you're going to get 15 days of free sessions. That doesn't mean you're going to feel amazing in 15 days, but you'll know something shifting that you can't put your finger on, and you're going to want more. So you're going to go to scalarlight.com. You're going to tell Tom that you heard about him on the Dr. Linda Show, Psychic Solutions, and let him work with you. All he needs from you is your name and a photo. That's it.
Yes.
You don't need to qualify. You don't need to give your age, where you're from. Just put it out there. Hi, my name's Susie, and here's my picture.
Yes. And why? Because this is not medical science. This is not a psychological review. The energy reviews your force field. The energy is the intelligence. If there's any diagnosis, it's on the part of the energy. I tell people explicitly, don't tell me any of your private information. I don't want to know it.
No.
The energy from God, the energy knows who you are.
Do you have, I know you're at your computer and you're sitting down in one of your labs. Is there a way to take the camera? Is there anything to show, like you might have 50 photos near some light so we can see kind of what you're doing? Is there any way to give us a peek? Can you move the camera?
Let me pan it a little bit. Those are some of the instruments in the background. I have about a dozen instruments in this laboratory.
That's a big question. If it's too much, I believe you, but I think it's even more impacting when they see it. But Tom has walls of photos, people, and there's all these lights that are just going after the photo. Some from the European countries, some from the South Pacific, some from Asia, some from the United States, some from, every corner of the world contacts Tom at scalarlight.com to please help. And I think one person says, well, now I got help, but here's my mom, here's my dad, here's my dog. Do you work on animals too?
Of course. I've worked with kangaroos. I've worked with turtles. Yes, I work with pets all the time. I have great success. Animals respond quite favorably in many ways because I don't think they have the disease that we have. Animals eat better usually than people. And animals usually don't have psychological problems. So animals respond quite favorably.
Oh, that's great. I was just being kind of funny, but here we are, a kangaroo. Well, who came to you with a kangaroo? Somebody in Australia or a zoo?
Yes, very good. Somebody from Australia said, we have kangaroos. They were more or less pets, but the kangaroos would frequent their residence. And the gentleman said, this kangaroo has a bacterial infection. So I said, okay, send me a photograph of the kangaroo. And after a month, the kangaroo, if you will, was thriving. There was no more indication of any bacterial infection. The kangaroo is healthy. So again, it doesn't matter who you are or where you are. Your photograph, whether you're a person or a kangaroo, has your energy field. And I don't access a person or a kangaroo in person. It's the new science in which we access your aura. Now, if you look at any medical textbook, they're not going to tell you about an aura. No. I understand that. They're at the chemical level. The metaphysical level works with auras. We work with spirit, consciousness. There is consciousness. This instrument proves that you can access consciousness. So again, this is the new science that's not taught by academia for whatever reason. We only speak about the
because I'll tell you why. I'm going to interrupt you. I'll tell you why. Because if they knew, just like with me, people will ditch me because they know I'm right, or I've healed people and I could put them out of business. It's like if they knew that you could heal people, what about all the doctors, the immunologists, the cardiologists, the endocrinologists, the podiatrists? Everybody's got a this after them because they're specialists in that field. If you start healing people, where are they going to go? It's just like, okay, they're going to tax California now to drive because if we're not paying as much in gas and everything's going electric, they got to make the money back. It's always about the money. If I heal people, that person doesn't need the chiropractor or the surgeon or the shrink or whatever as much because they're feeling better. Same thing with you. You're taking away their profit and their business. And that's why people like you and me are shunned by big business, big farm, whatever you want to call it, because we're a threat. So they'll silence and censor and put us out if you do too much. But there's those that do both. I remember a couple of years ago, and you can qualify this, I had a woman call that her son, who was first year of college, ended up with herpes. She was scared. I know she contacted you about healing her son from herpes, who was mortified. His first time out, he got sick. And I don't know for what happened. I think she was from Arizona or Texas or something. That's all I remember. And people come to you with all these, quote, bizarre issues, and you help them. And it's the same with me. I had a woman bleeding vaginally who needed a hysterectomy, did some candles on this man's wife, and she stopped bleeding. Well, how does that work? We don't know. Is it odd or is it God? It's the metaphysics. I went to the source. I healed her with my candles. How do the candles work? How does Scalar light work? It's energy, people. Is it odd or is it God? And if you want to believe, great. If you think that we're, if you're skeptical or you think that we're crazy, fine. There's always somebody that sees our truth. Tom and I have had these conversations because we are, quote, alternative, and we're not just quite mainstream. But there's a lot of mainstream people that find people like us that say, well, you're right, or I do feel better, or thank you. And that's what keeps us going. If it didn't, we would have stopped a long time ago. But we both have passions and a desire, almost like a calling to get this out there, right?
Yeah. My predecessor, a man by the name of Hieronymus, who developed this instrument.
How do you spell that so I can put it in the...
Hieronymus, Hieronymus.
All right.
Galen Hieronymus secured 3 patents for this instrument, a US, a British, and a Canadian patent. And in the patent, he wrote that there were self-emanations, that objects were self-emanating, were broadcasting this energy, that it was not produced, that it was, if you will, natural energy that was being broadcast, transmitted from elements. Why? Well, it's the energy of the sun and the stars, and every element experiences this emanation. So where does all of the energy come from in the universe?
God.
Yes, from God, and the storehouses of that energy are the stars, and all of that energy is assumed by us. So once the energy gets to us at the biochemical level, it's the effect. Why don't we start working at the cause, the level of God, the level of intelligence?
You and I do. People out there don't understand that. It's that simple. Oh, well, my rabbi or my priest or my something said I can't talk to you. I'm like, if God didn't want me to have the gift, why'd he give it to me? And it's not about religion, people. There is a universal God, an energy. Something created this, something created you, something created everything. Even with the wars and the disruption out there, if a lot of people could just stop and heal, this planet might have some peace. This is a warrior planet. I don't think that Earth will ever have total peace. And it's not about the scalar energy or the healing, because man creates the war. God does not. It's up to him to oversee it, but we are the destructive source. We are hurting what's already natural. So if Tom's work comes from stars and the sun, mine comes from my inner energy, light, whatever, and yet we go up against the big boys in business, farm, med, whatever. They don't understand because of their model. Something is always imbalanced and questioned, but it still goes back to source. The people getting up for their corporate jobs still see the sun rise. They still look at the stars at night, but they don't understand that all of it is part of the universal God that made them to do what they do. And that's okay. I'm not dissing. I've needed medication. I've needed surgery. But I also know there's other ways to heal, and you can take it beyond what you've learned. And that's what Tom constantly fights for in his work. ScalarLight.com. Again, you get 15 days of free Scalar Light sessions by sending your photo to Tom. Just say, I saw you on Dr. Linda's show. You're great. Tell him how wonderful he is and that you want more. But God, we're almost out of time. This goes so fast. The Scalar Light is... it's precious. It's different. It's nondescript. It's yes. Magic. It's like, why do people burn my spiritual candles and all of a sudden they're getting married, or they won a lawsuit, or they got more money coming in? Because the oils and the herbs and the writing works with the light, and it creates effect without trying to explain that it wasn't a store-bought situation, but that there's a process and a ritual. It's kind of like with you. It's a ritual. You take the picture, yes. You put it by the light, and something happens. Some things metaphysically like that you cannot tangibly explain. I can't explain why I'm successful in healing people or working with people as a psychic or with my candle magic line, because it's spiritual. You can't touch spirit. You can see it. You can see certain miracles. I had a girl on the show last week where it's like,
yes.
When you have like a God shot and things happen when you can't explain it, that's the fun part. But when you're doing your work and someone says, "Oh, thank you, Tom. Wow, my sister, my brother, my mother, my dog, a kangaroo," when they say thank you, that's the reward we get.
Yes,
right?
Yes, it is. And pursuant to that point, to your point, it is invisible. I get it. Energy is invisible. And
yeah,
you
you're
have
frozen.
to judge
Hold
by
on,
the
Tom. You're
endpoints.
freezing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tom's frozen.
We have
no,
to
it's
look
not
at
you. There you are.
Okay, we have to look at the endpoints, before and after. When you send me your photograph, how do you feel? After, how do you feel? And then I allow people to explain that by way of a testimony. To be very clear, I cannot prove my work. There's no scientific test for a photograph yet. So I allow anecdotal testimonies. The testimonies, we have thousands of testimonies. The testimonies prove this.
And that's the same with me at lindasalvin.com. And you can do the same thing at scalarlight.com. We are both metaphysicians. We are both healers, but we are from so diverse areas of the field of alternative health, medicine, spiritual, whatever you want to label it as. It's the woo-woo to some people, but then there's real weird woo-woo that I won't touch. So I stay within my own lane of where I feel I belong or can comprehend, or what I find is most educational for you, the listener and the viewer of the show. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, Tom. I want to say again, you can go to scalarlight.com. If you're listening and want to talk, one person can call it at 561-623-9421 and ask a question. But the beautiful outcome is how you're going to feel. You can look great, wear all the designer clothes, drive a Maserati, live in the hills, and still be depressed. Because I have known people in the movie industry that are huge on film, huge with credits, huge with their name, but they sit home in a 10,000 square foot home drinking every night because they're so depressed. You know, there's a lot of, especially with the digital media today and social media, everybody looks amazing and we can change our looks with the details of, I don't even know how to do it because I'm not that techie, but everything's show, look. But then there's those that don't feel good. And if you don't feel good, you have to hide behind all the stuff to make it look like you're this special, whatever. We're all human. We all have emotions. We all have a past. We all have grief, guilt, shame, fear, gratitude, all this. People will call me, girls will call me, well, why doesn't he like me? I said, it's not that he doesn't like you. Maybe he's got issues. What kind of issues can he have? Well, people don't understand. Men as women have emotions, feelings, a past, grief. You got to figure things out. Nothing is just like you get up in the morning and here we are. People are people. What Tom can do, what I can do is help you bring some of the negatives together and heal you so you're not as uncomfortable, whatever it might be. Tom, one more time, where can people reach you?
Scalarlight.com. And I'm going to ask people, consider sending your photograph. You can send your family, get their permission, and include your pets. You can send in 5 or 6 photographs.
If it's a cat, too bad. My dog was gone 2 years ago. I should have reached out, but she had dementia. It was time to go. But yeah, pets in the future, birds, pets, cats, whatever. Oh my gosh. And kangaroos, elephants, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh, Tom, it's all go on.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I did treat an elephant once, a viral infection. I had a good outcome. Thank you, Linda.
Oh my God, that's great. Will you come back either end of June or July, right after the holiday or something? We'll be in touch. I'm going to send you somebody's photo in a little bit. I want to thank Tom Palladino, again, scalarlight.com. 15 days of free sessions when you email him with your photo, people. It's that simple, free. And then it's a very inexpensive, what is it, like $90 a month or a year or something?
It's $10 a month. It's
I mean, it's nothing compared to what you're going to receive. We have the 5-minute call button here. Rebel, why don't you pop on for a few seconds and talk to Tom and me? And I think it's time you submit your photo to Tom. So by the time he rejoins us in another 6 weeks or so, you can explain your improvement. How's that, Rebel?
That sounds amazing. You know, I get so much energy from just listening to you guys on the show. Is that a thing? Do people emit
Yes.
energy and other
Yes.
people feel them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
Yeah.
this broadcast, this instrument is broadcasting energy to Linda right now. Because if I can connect by way of a photograph, I see Linda's image in the computer, and the energy is connecting to Linda right now. Yes.
And on top of it, you're dealing with two higher frequency beings, people
Yes.
that are in a similar field of metaphysics. And we understand this spiritual psychic phenomena that's beyond the body to heal the body or the mind, or to help people who are depressed or confused or fragmented or whatever. That's our job. Not every disease is healed by me or Tom, but a lot of times I can focus where a chiropractor or a cardiologist, somebody may have missed something because the emotional or spiritual problem causing the physical needs to be addressed, that a lot of them out there don't understand yet. Holistic health, spiritual ideas are just now being introduced in medical schools after all this time. It's starting. Alternative is just starting. So another 30 years, they'll probably pick up on it. Just like when I was in college in the 70s, the holistic movement was just getting going. So send your picture to Tom Rebel. It'll take all of a minute. You don't have to have makeup on. He's not going to go, oh, she's so this or oh that. He doesn't judge. He just puts it in front of a light and you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
Then you come on in a month or so.
You're
And
right.
say,
every night I run off thousands of photographs, so I really don't know who I'm treating. And it's not
No.
pertinent that I know. The energy is divine. God knows who needs to be treated.
you
The
got it.
force
And
field.
I can't thank you enough. I love talking to you. I think maybe at some point you and I should just do a weekly broadcast ourselves. I'll get to that when I get on the next wheel. But for today, I want everybody to know Tom Palladino is the real thing. He can heal you, your family, your pets, whatever. Just go to scalarlight.com, send him a photo. You don't have to say anything else but hi. And we'll have Tom back between now and the end of July to do some more. But Rebel, get that picture in, and I'm going to know from Tom whether you did or not, because when he comes back, we're going to ask you questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. Tom, have a great, stay backstage. I'll be there in a moment. Let me shut the show down. I'm Dr. Linda Salvin. This is Psychic Solutions Podcast. You've been with me and Tom Palladino for the last 50 minutes, and we were talking about metaphysical energy, metaphysical healing, metaphysical things you can't really put your finger on because you can't touch it. It's not tangible, but it works. Otherwise, I would have dedicated my life the last 30 plus years to help people. Neither would Tom for the last 30 plus years to do this. Is it odd or is it God? People, this is real. I just got goosebumps when I said that. That's the end of the broadcast today. If you'd like to reach me off the air, watch for the information at the end. And again, Tom is at scalarlight.com. Just send him a photo, say hi, and that's it. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed Dr. Linda Salvin's Psychic Solutions podcast. You can reach Dr. Linda at 888-509-1077 or at lindasalvin.com. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.